Our study this morning is going to be on Genesis 49, verse 13 and 14, whereby we are going to see the character of Zebulun and Issachar. These two are the sons of Jacob. Issachar, or Zebulun first, is a son of Leah. And Issachar is a son of Bilhah, the maid of who? Of Leah. We are going to see these two characters. But before we see, we want to understand why study this character of the sons of Jacob. You remember when you go to this chapter 14, it says, "And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourself together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days." When he says in the last days, you remember Jacob is talking over 2,000 years, even before Christ. So when he's saying the last days is our times. The last days is our times. It includes that time and also our times, because we are in the last days. So it's very important to understand these prophecies of Jacob and his sons. We have dealt with the first 4 sons of Jacob. You remember we dealt with who? Reuben, Simon and Levi, and Judah. And now here we are going to deal with who? The Zebulun and Issachar. But you know, these sons, even the sons of maid, were also children who had sons of who? Jacob. They were all called the sons of Jacob. You know, sometimes when you start this sacred history, many have been wondering why Jacob had to marry Leah and Rachel and even their maids. Through our own reasonings, it is very hard to understand. But when you are opened by the Spirit of God, it is easier to understand that all this was happening, not just a history whereby people think that they should marry many wives, but here it had a bigger purpose than the reasoning man can think of. I told you that when you come to the 2 wives, Leah and Rachel, they represent the kingdom of this world, the kingdom of nature, that's Leah, and in Rachel, the mystical kingdom, that is the kingdom of who? Of Christ. Whereby these 2 kingdoms, they go hand in hand in this world. As we have seen with so many expositions that we have done in our expositions or in our sermons. Now, it is easier or it is better for us to understand these sons of Jacob, why he had to predict their life even unto the last days. So here, As we have said, the first three sons of Jacob is typified in the figure, the kingdom of corrupt nature. The first three sons. That is who?
Reuben.
That's Reuben, Simon, and Levi. Don't forget that, because those are very important points for you to know when we are studying this scripture, this Genesis. So the first three sons represent the kingdom of corrupt nature. And that kingdom, it is this kingdom we see. Because we saw Reuben after the fall, he begot a character of Simon. And through Simon, we have another character of priesthood in this corrupt kingdom. This priesthood we saw, it is a false priesthood. And that's why when you come to the fourth one, that's the one which represents the kingdom of who? Of Christ. And that's who? Judah. Sasawa. The Adamical man, that is the corrupt nature, we call it the Adamical man. Sasawa. That's the corrupt nature. And by Judah, Christ is typified, who should come and bring the Adamical man into his kingdom. You see now, Judah, after the first three, Judah is Christ's kingdom. That's where Christ is going to be born. Is a character teaching about the Christ kingdom, where Christ is going to be born in the heart of this corrupt nature. That is the fourth son. But by the other 8 sons of Jacob is typified only the figure of worldly officers. I want you to get that point. But by the other 8 sons of Jacob is typified only the figure of worldly officers, states, and governments, signifying how the Adamical man would manage the superior dominion, and how also the inward figure of the kingdom of Christ would stand closely by it. You know, we have said that the first 3, corrupt kingdom, the fourth one, the Christ kingdom, represent the Christ kingdom. The last 8 sons represent the government, let us call it the government of these governments and offices of this world. Offices of this world, or officers of this world, whereby this corrupt kingdom and this Christ kingdom, they are going to go hand in hand in this world. Outwardly, we are going to have the kingdom of this world. Outwardly. But inwardly, there is also the kingdom of Christ working inwardly. You get the point here? So in these two kingdoms, there must be those, how they are going to be managed. There is a way of how they are going to be managed. So the last 8 sons represent the government, how these two kingdoms are going to be governed. Are you together? Because if you don't understand this, then it will be hard. You know, truth always needs a foundation. There must be fundamental truths where you are going to base your argument. If you don't get that, even if you go, we are going to talk about these sons, you won't understand. I want you to understand we have dealt with the first three sons, and the fourth son we have seen how God has arranged it. And the 8 sons, now we are going to see how this kingdom, this corrupt kingdom of nature in this world, and the Christ kingdom are going to be managed in this world, because both of them, they are going hand in hand. Sasawa? Yes. So in these sons, we are going first to see the outward figure, where these sons are going to dwell. First typified where each tribe or stock would have their dwelling and habitations, and what their office in Israel would be. But near to it stand always the figure representing how the outward and the inward man would stand close by one another. I want you to get that point because it's very important. Because when you come to the scripture, there is always what we call the outward figure. Because these children were the children of Israel. And outwardly, they are going to form the nation of Israel. And outwardly, each and every son is going to be placed in a certain place, because each son is going to have a place where he's going to live in Israel. You get the point? That's the first point. Because practically, they were the children of who? Of Jacob. And practically, there was a place where each tribe had to stay when they went in Canaan. You remember when these children went in Canaan, each and every son was given a place where? To live. So that one, for sure, it is there. And that is a history. And even Israel themselves, they know that. But yet, again, what many don't understand, there is another thing that we need to understand, that the same son represents the outward kingdom of man and the inward kingdom. Because in every person who is walking this world, he has these two kingdoms in himself. And that's why when you come to the New Testament, we say the inner man or the old man, or the old man out. The new man and the old man. Or the inner man and the outer man. You see, when we talk about the outward world, those sons, they are going to represent. We see them in Israel. When we come now, in a deeper sense, we are also going to see these sons also having a place both in the inward and outward. Because we have seen it is two kingdoms in this world, the corrupt and the mystical kingdom. That is the kingdom of Christ. Whereby these 8 sons, they are going to govern. Or their character represent the government of these two kingdoms in this world. Sasawa. So here, we must understand that, because if you don't understand that, it will be hard even to see what we are doing. So near to the office or outward kingdom of Israel, stand always the figure representing the outward and the inward man would stand close by one another. We are going to see. And how the kingdom of nature and the kingdom of grace would dwell one by another. The kingdom of nature and the kingdom of grace. When we talk about the kingdom of nature and the kingdom of grace, it is the same as the mystical kingdom of Christ or the kingdom of this world. It's the same thing. So we use those words interchangeably, but they all mean the same thing. So here, we are going to see how the kingdom of nature and the kingdom of grace would dwell one by another. Also, how the 7 properties of nature in God's anger, according to the first principle, would also put forth or exprecate themselves and introduce themselves into figure to the divine manifestation. You see now, when you say the 7 properties, that means in everything that is this world is created out of the 7 properties. That is the 7th Spirit of God. Don't forget that, because that is where we get all this argument. Because everything started there from this 7th Spirit. So here, these 7 properties, we are going to also to learn about the 3 principles are also going to be involved in what we are going to learn about these 8 sons. We are also going to learn about those things in order to understand exactly what Jacob was meaning with the prophecy of these sons, of his sons. Sasawa. So, let us start with Zebulun and see. Let us start with Zebulun and see what Jacob predicted of this son. So that is Genesis 49, 13. Kiswahili?
Kiswahili nasema, Zabuloni atakaa pwani ya bahari, naye atakuwa kama pwani za kuegesha merikebu, na mpaka wake utakuwa kando ya Zidoni.
Yes. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. That is Zebulun. So here, this was what Jacob said of Zebulun. So here, Zebulun, in the language of nature, in sense, is called a desire or longing. A desire or longing that goes to God. That is the word Zebulun. But when you go back to where he's going to dwell, this is the outward figure showing where this tribe or stock will dwell in the promised land. You see now, hapa ni pahali atafanya nini? Ataishi. Zebulun will dwell at the haven of the sea. He was on the side of the sea, haven of the sea, and at the haven of ships, and reach unto Zidon, which means he was at the coastline. He was at the coastline. That's where he was to live. If you go to the map of the tribe of Israel, you will see the position where Zebulun was given by who? By Moses. Is it Moses? No, by Joshua. So that is exactly where the outward place where he had to stay in the land of Canaan. Outwardly, we all know that. But when you come inwardly, that's where now we want to see. Because here, first of all, we must understand the word Zebulun, the meaning of the word Zebulun. That's why we have said it means a desire or longing that goes to God. Which longing resides with the good people. So, In this world, we have the character. We have the first three character. And we have the fourth character. The fourth character, we found that that one represents exactly Christ or the elect of God. But when you come to the first three sons, which represent the corrupt nature, this corrupt nature, don't forget that Zebulun is a son of who? Of Leah? Of Leah. Is a son of Leah. And being a son of Leah, here we are being shown that in this world, there are those people, they have in themselves, they stay in the border. They have a desire of God. They have a desire of God. That's a character of people in this world. They have a desire of God. That's the first. They have a longing of God. That's the first thing I want us to know. So, this longing resides with the good people. Those are good people. It is signified here that the Adamic man would dwell near God and that he would have delight and refreshment from the divine cohabitation. That means there are good people in this world that they have a longing for God. And these people always will like will like to live where they can have cohabitation with who? With God? With God. Sawa? By nature ni watu ambaye wana mvuto wa uungu. It is a character ambaye, though they are not saved, we cannot say they are the elect, but they are good people. They are good people in this world, as we are going to see by and by. So, Jacob begat Zebulun of Leah, which otherwise was not esteemed, because she was tender-sighted and blear-eyed, and not fair as Rachel was. Which Leah put her hope in God, that he would bless her, that she should be fruitful and bear children to her husband Jacob. Let us see Genesis 30 verse 20. What does it say? Swahili?
Inasema, Bilha mjakazi wa Raheli akapata mimba tena, akamzalia Yakobo mwana wa pili. 37. That's
20.
Okay, sorry. 20 inasema, Lea akasema, Mungu amenipa mahali njema. Sasa mume wangu atakaa nami, kwa kuwa nimemzalia wana 6. Akamuita jina lake Zebulun.
Akamuita jina lake Zebulun. Sawa? Akamuita jina lake Zebulun. And Leah said, God has endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. So I want you to look it here. Look at this place here. Leah was represented the kingdom of nature. What about Jacob? Represented who? Jesus?
Jesus Christ.
He represented the Christ humanity. That is Christ. And Christ is grace, or Christ comes with grace. So Leah is praising God because he has gotten who?
Christ.
Zebulun. And he is saying, now my husband is going to dwell with me. Are you together there? Now my husband is going to dwell with me. So you can see here, this is the kingdom of nature, and he has given birth to Zebulun. Now the husband is going to dwell with him. Who is this husband? Who is it?
Jacob.
And who is and it is who? Christ. Humanity. And Christ. Which means Zebulun represents the good man. Why? Because it is a man in nature who desires who? God. And Christ is going to dwell with who? Is near who? And Christ is going to dwell with that person now. I want you to get this point because it is very deep and it is very good. Because this is there. This is the kingdom of nature. We want to see the character of Zebulun. Zebulun, we have said, in a language of nature, means a desire or longing that goes to God. And when you talk about God, God is called God where Christ is dwelling there.
Ama ni kama kusema Christ ataishi katika mwili.
Ataishi katika mwili, ya. Ni kusema Christ ataishi katika mwili.
Sababu alikuwa na nafasi hiyo, lakini sasa
ataishi katika mwili. Meaning, in Zebulun, Christ is dwelling in that nature. Let us put it, Christ is dwelling in that nature. Because Leah amesema, sasa, I've gotten the sixth son, now Jacob is going to do what? To dwell with who?
With me.
Yeah, that's what she has said. She has said, that is verse 20, let us go. And Leah said, God has endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me. Now will my husband dwell with me. We are going to see what this dwelling is. Now, Jacob begat Zebulun of Leah. Tumeona. So when she bore Zebulun, she said, God has pleaded with well for me. That is, I turned my desire to him, and he has fulfilled it for me. Now his will dwells with me, and she called him Zebulun, a near dwelling or cohabitation. That is, God dwells with me, and now also will my husband dwell with me in love. And it signifies that the grace of God in his mercy and compassion shall still dwell with the poor Adamico, perished or corrupt children of flesh, and not forsake them in their misery. That means, in this world, Zebulun represent those character of men, though they don't know it. But Christ is dwelling with who? With them. Though they don't understand, even they themselves, they don't understand. But Christ dwells with them and is in them. And that's why they have a desire or a longing for God. They have a longing for God. Those are the character ambaye ni watoto ambaye wamezaliwa in this world, because even the elect of God wote wamezaliwa wapi? Hapa duniani. Na wote wamezaliwa na nani? Na Leah. Sindio? So Zebulun ana represent those character ambaye though they are in nature but they have a longing for God. Because Leah says, now Jacob is going to dwell with me. I want to get to that point. Let us hear a point here. Maybe it can direct us and maybe get the point. As the Spirit has by Judah declared Christ in the flesh, because in Judah we saw that Judah represent Christ in the flesh. Ni kumaanisha Christ, the Son of God, that was to be born in who? In Judah. So now here he declares that the outward man would not be Christ. You get the point? But a cohabitation of Christ. In Zebulun, the outward man will not be Christ, but will be a cohabitation of who? Of Christ. Meaning, when you talk of Judah, Judah is a complete manifestation of who? Of Christ in the flesh. But when you come to Zebulun, tunataka kuambiwa, outwardly this man look like a natural man of this world. Nisikia mzee? Tunaelewana pale? Usikize vizuri. Kwa sababu anasema, as the Spirit was, in Judah declared Christ in the flesh, so now here he declares that the outward man would not be Christ, but be a cohabitation of Christ. Christ would profess the inward ground. You see now? Kwa hivyo Christ will dwell in the inward ground. But the outward is the normal man of this world. Kwa hivyo it is very hard to know this man, because outwardly he is a human being. Ni mtu ambaye anafanya kazi yake. Lakini like inside there is a cohabitation with who? With Christ. That is the broom. There is that cohabitation. They are one. He has a desire. Christ is working in him internally, inwardly. Christ is growing. Christ is growing. But when you come to Judah, Christ appeared in the flesh as a man. You could see this is Christ. But when you come to Zebulun, he is a man of this world, but he is there is cohabitation with Christ inwardly, but outwardly he is driven by this worldly body, this worldly desire. Ni kama mtu wa kawaida tu. Tunaelewana pale? Ni kama mtu wa kawaida tu. Kwa sababu hapa anasema Christ would profess the inward ground, as he also says, my kingdom is not of this world. That's why Christ always will teach his disciple. You are my disciple, yes. You are professing that you are my disciple, but remember, my kingdom is not of this world. Though you are in this world, outwardly you are in this world, but my kingdom is not of this.
Wow. You are in this world. You are mine. And you are on this world. But my kingdom
is not of this world.
Kwa hivyo mwalimu anataka kutuonyesha ya kwamba kana kwamba utaniona mimi mimi ni binadamu. Lakini kuna yule ako ndani.
Yes.
Sasa kudhihirisha yule hako ndani ni vile mimi
utakavyofanya. Yes.
Nikifanya kulingana na mimi, nitafanya kulingana na
dunia.
Kwa hivyo outward itaonekana ni dunia. Lakini nikifanya na vile yule ako ndani, sitafanya kulingana na dunia.
Yaani matunda yako ndio itatueleza wewe.
Yes. Kwa hivyo ndio unaona Zebulun wakati aligawiwa pale amekaa in the border of the sea. The land and the sea, and the sea. Ako hapa. Ndio aligawiwa pale. Manake
mambo yako kwa maji
ama kwa you see now, anakaa pale katikati. Yeah, he is in between, in the land and the sea. Nikumaanisha, this man, he has two kingdom in him. He is cohabiting with Christ inwardly, but outwardly he is also cohabiting with the world. Kwa hivyo nikumaanisha, yeye always ako na mvuto. He has a desire for God. Yeah, he has a desire for God. And that's why we say, therefore, the outward mortal man should not say of itself, I am Christ. Kwa hivyo, the mortal outward man, sisi, hawezi kusema mimi ni nani? Mimi ni Kristo. Wezi? Ni kweli? You cannot say that I'm Christ. No. Yeah, for Christ is the inward spiritual world, hidden in the outward visible world. You see now, for Christ is where? For Christ is the inward spiritual world, hidden in the outward visible world, as the day is hidden in the night, and yet they dwell one by near with the other. So Zebulun, hata kana kwamba anampenda Mungu, he had a desire for God. Yeye, he is not like Judah. Judah is Christ in the flesh, and that's why unamwita Christ. But when you come to the character of Zebulun, you cannot call him Christ, because Christ is only internal spiritual kingdom. But outwardly, wewe ni mtu wa nini? Wa mwili. You have this. Kwa hivyo huwezi kuitwa Kristo. So hiyo sasa ni vile utaenda mpaka ufanye nini? Ufike pale. Okay, I think up to that point tumeona the character of Zebulun. Let us see the character of Isakari.
Kwa hivyo
Okay, we are going to see now the fifth son of who? Of Leah. Because we made a mistake by calling Issachar the child of who? The son of a maid. But he's not a son of a maid. He is a son of who? Of Leah. That is it.